Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another amazing topic of conversation. First of all, I have to thank our sponsors, the Health Channel. Their support has been amazing, and the Ready, Check, Go by Thermo Fisher. So thank you. And I want to welcome our speaker today, which is going to guide us through the whole process of the virtual world. So thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Let me start by tell us a little bit about your background. I know that you were the founder of the Blockchain Foundation.
Right, the Florida Blockchain Foundation, yes.
The Florida Blockchain Foundation. So tell me a little bit about you.
So I'm originally from France, but I spent a good amount of time in Miami. I created the Florida Blockchain Foundation with Mayor Suarez in 2018 in order to promote blockchain technology as an infrastructure layer for Florida and its businesses. I also I did a lot of real estate in my life, so I'm very involved in real estate for a good 20 years plus. Now I'm in France for the past year. Because of COVID, I had to relocate and be with my family. So I took the time during those lockdowns to build a platform for real estate using blockchain technology as well, and creating bridges between the real world and blockchain.
So I forgot something, and I'm sorry. Matthew, can you please give me your last name as you say it? I don't want to get it wrong.
Mercadou Melki. Matthew
Okay.
Mercadou Melki.
So welcome. We just went through Art Basel.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami was full of people. There were, again, everybody coming in person. But one of the biggest things that was in Art Basel was the NFTs.
Right.
So first of all, tell me what an NFT is.
Okay. So first, before talking about NFT, you have to understand, or at least get familiar with the concept of blockchain technology. NFTs are things that were created to run on blockchain technologies. NFTs are tokens. In the blockchain world, you have two types of tokens. Fungible tokens, or three types, the hybrids, but fungible tokens, those are digital assets that you can exchange for another. Example, a Bitcoin can be fungible with one other Bitcoin. It's like a banknote can be fungible with another banknote. Okay, so those.
So an NFT is like a Bitcoin, like a currency.
It's not, yeah, right, but it's not fungible. Okay, so you have to understand fungible tokens, like a currency is fungible. Okay, the same coin you can exchange for one another is the same difference for you. A non-fungible token would be the same thing. Okay, it's a digital representation of something, but that cannot be duplicated. Okay, it's a scarce, it's rare, there are only unique copies of this digital asset. So blockchain, basically, it's the new version of internet. In order to understand it, you have to understand the different web era that we experienced. First, the Web 1, or the Web 1 period, was at the start of internet. If you remember, when we, in the late 90s, when we get introduced to internet with AOL, remember America Online?
Yes.
And we first we are able to send emails. That was the first version of internet that will allow people to search, read, and send emails. Okay, but there was very basic, the basic features of internet. Then came the second version of internet, Web 2. Those were the platforms, the big platforms like Amazon, Yahoo, eBay, Google, all those platforms that allowed to exchange and communicate. They were much more interactive than the first version of the internet. But the problem is that they created huge monopolies with centralized information. That means when you send information on a platform on internet, this information is stored somewhere, right? And usually it's stored at Google or at Amazon or at those big corporations that have your data, and they really make a business out of your data.
Correct. They're selling us.
They're selling you, exactly. You are becoming the product, basically.
Yes.
The internet became less and less secure because with technology, you have various forms of hacking and ways to interact with one particular server, making it very dangerous for hacking or fraud or tampering of data. Okay, so it's not secure. Privacy is no more protected because you can be hacked, your information can get hacked. And it's centralized. That means someone can, with a turn of a button, push of a button, can shut you down. We saw it with Donald Trump. We see it every day. When today you can easily close someone's account if his opinion is against the rule of the community, right?
Without getting into politics.
No, it's not politics. It's just a fact that today on internet, you can easily get deplatformed if you go against whatever the platform is. It can be right, can be left, whatever it is. It's easy to shut someone's down or to hide information or to produce fake news, for example. Correct. Why? Because the information is centralized. And as soon as you centralize a service or something, it becomes open to corruption, somewhat, or psychopathic behavior or whatever, but you don't want it to be centralized. So the next version of the web, what we call Web 3, that means the third version of the web, the big difference is that it's decentralized. That means no one has authority over these networks, like the Bitcoin network is decentralized. That means no one has authority over it. There is no Bitcoin CEO. There is no Mr. Bitcoin, or you can call the Bitcoin company. No.
So who controls that part?
Everyone. So the power goes away from the big monopolies and goes back to the users. That's the big difference in Web3. We get our power over our information back. We get to monetize our information. We get to decide who has access to what we produce. And same goes for companies. Companies now, small companies, small businesses can monetize their data and their information. So that's the Web3.
Okay.
And so that comes with several features that, because the world is completely digitized, I mean, or is getting completely digitized.
Sorry.
No problem. You can see every day and more, and even more with the COVID, a digital transformation of the economy. It's going to be very difficult in a few years from now to do business if you are not completely digitized. The whole process, your procurement process, your communication process needs to be digitized. So in that environment, you need technologies like blockchain that handle the digital identity part. Who you are talking to. Are you talking to the right person? Is it a computer? Is it a company? And is it the right person behind it? So the digital identity, something that blockchain covers. And then because it's decentralized, no one has authority over it. The more decentralized, the better. You will see solutions, they are more or less centralized, but the more you decentralize, the less corrupt is the network, the less open to corruption. So it's decentralized, it's secure because the data is encrypted. That's why it's called crypto asset, because it's a cryptographic encryption. That means you don't put the contract on the blockchain so everybody can see it. What you do, you take a hash That means a suite of number and letters that will define the contract exists. So you know it exists and you put it on the blockchain. So no one can contest that this contract has been made and that it exists at a certain time stamped on the blockchain.
So the same applies to an NFT?
So yes, exactly. So what is an NFT? An NFT is a digital representation of an asset. It says, let's take a game. You know video games. You have seen video games.
That was my next question, that if NFT is part of gaming.
Video games, you know NFTs. In a video games, you are going to buy a car to go on a circuit, or you're going to buy a shield if you are playing a war, or a gun. Okay. The gun you buy or the shield you buy is an NFT. Okay, it's a digital asset, and this asset is a gun or is a shield. Okay, so take that now in the context of art. Yes. Instead of designing a shield or a gun, design a piece of art.
A piece of art.
This piece of art now, you create a representation and the digital ownership. You're gonna state this belongs to Gladys and no one else. And that gives you the scarcity that the art needs, because when you buy art, you want it to be the only one to buy.
Yes, but if I buy art, I hang it in my door. With NFTs, no.
Digital and real art, and I mean not real, but I mean tangible art.
Correct.
You can as well, with the token, attach rights to the token. That means if you want to, you can make a piece of art that is attached to a tangible piece of art and say, if you buy the token, you also buy the property of this piece of art. But the NFT itself is just meant to be broadcast on a screen. So a few years from now, you can imagine that a lot of homes will be equipped with screens, or your car, or anywhere you go, there will be screens everywhere. And you can broadcast your art on your wall.
But I can also broadcast your art.
Right.
But it's not mine, it's still yours.
Exactly. And then you touch a very important point, because now I know who is browsing my art. I know who is projecting my art somewhere, and I get a little bit of royalty out of it.
Okay. So if I broadcast it, then the artist gets something of it.
Exactly. You have to access the address, the wallet of the users to use it if you want to. If the user grants you the use, he has to grant you the use for you to use it. So basically, you're adding the security features of blockchain to the scarcity of that art needs. You have a very secure product that is rare. So that's the recipe for success in art.
In the art. Okay. So now let me ask you something. Will this be a bubble? Remember the .com?
Most probably, because people are surfing on the hype, and in the end, they are just buying a very small piece of a digital art that is easily made, and the scarcity is just decided because they decide to do that many Bored Apes or cyberpunk. And so they create the scarcity. If tomorrow they decide to make millions of them, the price will tank in a second. So I find it very interesting because it's the beginning of the concept. And so people are just starting to grasp, the potential of it. But what I'm interested in are the real life utilization of this. Because if you take that in other contexts, you might want to protect the intellectual property of someone, which is unique. And someone that has worked digitally anywhere would be very happy to have his intellectual property protected through this technology.
So regardless of if it becomes a bubble, then the artist is still protected because anyway it is.
Right. For the value of the art, I cannot judge. I'm not an art expert. There is a hype, that's for sure. They use influencers a lot, to promote, to put to push the art. But the relevance of the art, I'm not able to judge if it's a good piece or a bad piece. But sure, there is a little bit of a bubble. That's for sure.
How, with everything, and you just touched on a very important part, which is the hacking and the scams. Yes. How can we identify that an NFT is a scam, or is it real?
So because they are proposed on major platforms, and you have to check the artist, that's making the art first. Also, you can check the relevance of the art. Does it make is it I don't know, involving an important cause, or is it an important artist, or is the message important? The relevance of the project.
But remember that when all this started, the first digital art that was sold was for $69 million.
Right.
And nobody even recognized the artist.
Because also I think the artist put his entire collection on this NFT. It was not just
on the NFT. Yes.
Yeah, and I think he's a quite renowned artist if you're talking about people. So, but again, the scarcity and the fact that they are the first ones make them even more interesting for collectors, because the collectors, they want to have the first that was produced. So I think the hype and the scarcity, and
Okay, so now I have another question. The virtual world.
Right. The metaverse.
The metaverse.
Right.
So we heard that Nike just spent $2 million on property on the metaverse.
Right.
To create a park.
Yes.
Which I understand that they want to promote their shoes, their clothes, and everything.
Yes.
I also saw a yacht that was bought in the metaverse for $1 million.
Exactly.
Aren't we creating a world out of this reality? Like, where do you draw the line on what reality is and what is not?
Yes. So to give you a little bit of background of my experience with metaverse, we wrote a project in 2017 that we presented to the city, or the Economic Development Partnership in Miami, the Beacon Council, that was called Miami Beta City. And the concept of this project was to recreate digital models of the main strategic point of the city, which are the port, the airport, and downtown.
Okay.
So we wanted to recreate digital twins, okay? So the replica in digital of those places, and get the universities involved to create a second world where a company could collaborate to create solutions before they do it on the real world. And that was designed for supply chain management. So that means you could move things, in and out Miami using the digital world to communicate.
So can you imagine what would have happened now? We have a supply chain catastrophe, and it would have saved it.
Exactly, because that way you can assess a situation and make assumption digitally before you do anything on the real world. And so you will immediately detect bottlenecks, potential issues that are happening, because it calculates everything that can happen between those strategic points.
I understand from your point of view how that part works.
Yes.
But what I don't understand is the other part, like a park, like getting a yacht, like what about real life and emotional experiences?
Exactly. So that was Miami Beta City, very different from what's happening now.
Correct. It's very different.
Yes. Now it's more gaming. It looks more like a game, but a game where big corporations want to play. That's why you saw these boats sold for that amount. That's why you sold land sold for $4 million.
Who did they buy it from?
So a user of the platform, players that are using the platform like Decentraland or Sandbox. Those are the two main ones, Decentraland and Decentraland.
No, but for example, the people that bought Nike, that bought the land, who owns this land?
Players in the game. You, me can be our sons and daughters that are playing in the game, or any gamer that has purchased land and wants to make a digital gallery or make his meetings in the metaverse, or just simply play with the possibilities. Because you can create anything you want that's within the game. And basically, you can have a second life in the metaverse with
No,
your
you
app.
can have a life, an alter reality life in the metaverse, correct?
Right.
But I'm worried about the children and the next generation. Like, for example, your kids are little, that they will completely have two different worlds to live in.
The new generation is a completely new generation. Like the generation that's coming, they will have a complete new set of rules than we had. The world is totally different. They were born with this. They are even called blockchain natives. I heard that terminology.
Blockchain natives?
Yes, blockchain natives, because that's all they know. They don't know the old way to do things, and so they will be very comfortable with an avatar, having an avatar, um, earning rewards on the blockchain because they play a game that is not only a game but maybe a real world application where people play to earn tokens, so they get solve problem with gamers. So it's a complete new set of rules that is gonna tie industries to this universe and gamers.
But the way you explain it is completely different, because the way you explain it is more seeing into the future and getting this technology to help avoid problems and create solutions.
Yes, exactly. That's the way I
That's the way you see it. But yes, a lot of the people will see it just as a game. So they will have a whole different virtual world that would be like hiding from their own world. I think that it will create a lot of emotional problems.
Totally. Yeah. No, we are really slowly moving towards a transhuman generation, meaning a mix between technology and human genome. We can see it already. We can feel there are topics all over. So if you just like follow what's your thoughts, we're getting where humans and technology are going to be somehow mixed.
Interactive, but you cannot eliminate the emotional component.
Absolutely. But it will temper it, because we are going to use so much of these technologies, and also with the COVID restriction, we're going to be a lot more home. So we use more and more of those technologies. So for sure, we're going to go towards less, human interactions. That's the way it's.
Don't you think that now that, for example, when finally we get this virus controlled, because everything we've learned is it takes 2 years, we're nearing the 2 years, Okay, yes, I know it will replicate, I get it. But doesn't the people want more physical interaction as
Oh,
opposed?
yes, they want. We all want it. I mean, I'm for more interaction and more, compassion and more exchange with people, and you don't get that on the
On
digital.
the correct. Even if you create an avatar that meets another avatar.
Exactly.
But
So you cannot have emotions with an avatar.
yes,
So
that's
I know it's kind of scary, but if you look at the big trends, in technology, that's where we're heading. I'm not for it, but I don't know how to slow it
to
down.
overcome that part.
Yeah.
So um I guess I'm speechless. And this is a rare thing, but I'm speechless in the fact that we are driving into a world where now we talk to a machine to remind us something.
Yeah, that's why I also all I did, when I was in Florida, uh, I tried my best to spread the knowledge of this technology for people to get used to it, because it will be the new way to exchange value, over the internet. So I wanted the more people to be aware of it, but also I wanted to create a community, a local community of people using this technology, so they can meet and learn and exchange. I really believe in community. I think the only way to get through what we are going through right now is to do it together. That means we need to adopt these technologies, understand how they work, and together build the future world that we want to build. And that goes by working locally with organizations like the Beacon Council and local organization, so people can organize themselves together.
And understand what this is all about, because I think you are ahead of your time many
Yes,
years.
yeah, probably. I don't know.
Matthew, our time is over. I
Okay.
still have a million questions, but for the next one,
If you want, let's do part 2.
part 2. So thank you so much. Everybody out there, thank you. Until next week, and above all, stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.